GOP megadonors are fed up with how the primaries are going. In fact, they feel like they've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, on the primaries. So they have decided to take a step back, reevaluate the situation, and possibly not donate any more money until the general election. Now, to give you some information on how this all works and what the numbers look like, according to The Hill, John Kasich's campaign took in $4.5 million and is supporting Super PAC $2.8 million for the month of March. So this is supposed to be a disaster, which is incredible because any average person looks at those numbers and they think, holy shit, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But this is an example of just how much money you need as a politician, as a candidate, to even have a chance. These numbers aren't impressive. This isn't enough money. And so these campaigns are freaking out and wondering what's happening with these wealthy donors. Ted Cruz took in just $12.5 million in March, less than half of Democratic presidential frontrunner Hillary Clinton's campaign haul. Okay. So many of these donors spent millions on the super PAC supporting former Florida Governor Jeb Bush and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, former favorites who dropped out of the race after getting throttled by Donald Trump. So it turns out that they donated all this money to their favorites. They think Jeb Bush has it in the bag. He's going to win the nomination. And of course, he failed miserably. And the same thing happened with Marco Rubio. He was considered the favorite by the donors. He was raising a tremendous amount of money. And at the end of the day, he didn't succeed. So these people are concerned that they're spending $500,000 in some cases on these campaigns.
Or millions.
And they're losing their investments, which I think is awesome.
Is there anything better than watching them throw millions of dollars away? Just throw it away.
The only bad thing is that it props up corporate news.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of Republican operatives have gotten incredibly wealthy off it. Yeah, thanks a lot, Debbie Downer. Yeah, no. Anyway, but it is funny that they thought. I mean, I guess, and look, I guess I thought that Jeb Bush had a chance. It just seems so, now that we know more about him, it seems so ridiculous. But my favorite thing about all these articles where they talk about the change in fundraising is that, of course, they have to compare it to the other side. And they do it a bit to Hillary, but very often you'll get references to, like, which is as much money as one day for Bernie Sanders, or is 1/4 of what Bernie Sanders made in that month. And it's great that on the Ted Cruz side, the Donald Trump side, all of that, they've got these billionaires that can't come close to matching just regular people funding Bernie Sanders.
I know, it's really incredible. I mean, it just kind of shows you the enthusiasm behind Bernie Sanders and his campaign, right?
Yeah.
That $27 donations can add up to enough to actually beat the amount of money that these candidates are making on the Republican side. Now, I want you to hear from some of these uber wealthy donors and how upset they are, because it's just music to my ears. Okay, so Stanley Hubbard, who's from Minnesota, he's a billionaire, says, I have been called and asked for money, and I said, once we pick a nominee, I will give money again. Apparently, he made an early $50,000 donation to a pro-Scott Walker super PAC, but has made no significant investment ever since. Stanley Hubbard also says the problem is that nobody prefers either of those two candidates, Trump or Cruz, and the third candidate, Kasich, no one thinks he has a chance. So why waste your money?
Wow.
You know what's amazing about that? Is that big donation he gave wouldn't get you a table at the George Clooney Hillary Clinton fundraiser.
I know.
Like, it wouldn't get you 1/6 of a table.
It is kind of
Some
incredible.
big money being thrown around this race.
But it's kind of nice to see. Look, money in politics continues to be a huge problem. It influences lawmakers. It influences the policies that they both propose and vote on. But at the same time, it's nice to see instances of failure where money in politics actually hurts the donors a little bit.
Yeah. And makes them question whether it's worth doing this in the future. It would be great if they just willingly stopped spending money. Then we don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
So they're deciding that Hillary Clinton is the safer choice, actually, right? That's what
some of them, yeah.
That's what Charles Koch said, which we'll get to in just a second.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Now, Doug Deason, a multimillionaire Texas businessman, spent $5 million supporting Rick Perry and has now thrown $200,000 behind a Cruz super PAC. He says the following: someone should be indicted over right to rise, referring to the super PAC that spent more than $100 million in a failed attempt to make Bush the Republican nominee.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
It is. The amount of money is crazy, but also, you think someone should be indicted? Like, think about that for a second. Like, we donated so much money and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Someone should be indicted. I'm wealthy and powerful. I should get what I want.
So it's not the donations that should be illegal. It's
Right.
that they didn't give me what I wanted.
That should be illegal. And it's, by the way, it's like, wait a minute. Who cares what the candidate is, who he stands for, how he connects with the voters? He has a lot of money,
Yeah.
so he should have won. That's what they're saying. Because George, they're not acknowledging that Jeb Bush, completely flawed candidate. No one would ever vote for him ever, even with $100 million. So they're trying to make it out like, well, they had the money, they should have won. They obviously spent it wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not it. They spend it however you spend it. It's the candidate that was flawed.
terrible.
It's incredible.
I feel like for $100 million, you should be able to win the presidency.
I would.
That's a lot of money.
I could win.
I feel like we could just like pile up rocks and dirt. And $100 million, we say it knows the ground better than anyone and it's anti-fracking. I think we can make it really popular, actually.
Yeah. Well, since Doug Deason didn't get what he wants, he believes that Right to Rise should be sued for fraud. In fact, he says, I would sue them for fraud.
Sounds like Donald Trump.
It's amazing. I love hearing how in pain they are over their ridiculous donations and how it didn't get them what they wanted.